It was one of those evenings where the world feels like it's holding its breath. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving a wash of deep purples and greys in the sky. My wife and I were on one of our usual evening walks, something we'd started doing during our vacation by the beach. It was peaceful, a chance to step away from the busy hum of daily life and just breathe. The road we walked was narrow and flanked on both sides by endless paddy fields that stretched far into the dusk. No streetlights, no other souls, just the soft murmur of the waves somewhere beyond the fields and the occasional call of a night bird. It was beautiful in its own way, but I'll admit, there was always a slight edge of unease when we walked here after dark. We usually avoided it, especially at night, but that evening, lost in conversation and the fading colors of the sky, we didn't notice how late it had become. As we rounded a bend, my eyes caught a flicker of light from the old, dilapidated house we passed every day. I had never seen the place lit up before. The windows were usually dark and empty, the wooden frame sagging like it was ready to collapse under its own weight. But that night, there was a soft yellow glow coming from one of the windows. And just as we passed the gate, I saw her. A woman stepped outside. She was wearing a simple, flowing white dress that fluttered lightly in the breeze. Her hair was loose, catching the faint light. Her face turned toward me. She smiled, a smile that was not quite innocent, but not threatening either. It was playful, almost mischievous, and I felt my heart skip a beat. I caught myself staring. How could I not? There was something ethereal about her, the way she moved, the quiet confidence in her gaze. It was the kind of beauty that lingers in your mind long after the moment passes. And then, my wife's hand gripped mine tightly. Her voice was low, urgent. "Let's go, now." I looked at her, puzzled. She looked back, pale and tense, eyes darting toward the house. "I saw a man," she whispered. I frowned, trying to process her words. "What man?" She swallowed hard. "An old man. His face, it wasn't right. It was twisted, deformed, like melted wax. He stepped out of that house and waved at me, beckoned me inside. I blinked. The woman I had just seen smiling at me was nowhere to be found. We quickened our pace, the silence between us thick with unspoken questions and growing fear. When we reached a more populated street with dim streetlights, I expected anger or jealousy. Instead, my wife looked shaken, almost terrified. The thought that both of us had seen different figures at the exact same moment was terrifying beyond words. How could that be? Was it some trick of the light, a shared hallucination, or something else? Something we couldn't explain. That night, sleep was elusive. I kept replaying the image of the woman in white, her smile, the way she looked right at me. It wasn't just curiosity, it was something deeper, an unsettling invitation that refused to fade. My wife, on the other hand, barely closed her eyes. Her face was pale in the moonlight filtering through the window, and her hands trembled in the dark. We didn't talk much about it after that. Some things felt too strange, too fragile to voice aloud, and we never walked down that stretch on foot again. Weeks had passed since that unsettling night by the old house. Time, I thought, would dull the memory. The strange light, the woman's smile, the twisted face my wife saw. But sometimes, memories don't fade. They simmer quietly beneath the surface, ready to stir when you least expect it. One evening, as we strolled along the beach, the sun casting long golden shadows over the sand, we noticed a family, a young couple with a small boy, no more than 3 or 4 years old, playing near the water's edge. They were new, we could tell. The couple's tentative smiles as they adjusted to the salty breeze, the way the boy clutched his mother's hand tightly. We greeted them, exchanged names, simple introductions that slowly blossomed into regular meetings. Over the following days, our paths crossed frequently during our evening walks. There was something comforting about their presence, a reminder that life continued amidst the mysteries. But beneath their smiles, I sensed something. One night, as we sat on a weathered bench overlooking the waves, the couple shared their own stories. Stories that sent chills crawling up my spine. The woman spoke first, her voice low and hesitant. "We hear things at night," she said, soft whispers, like a woman singing far away, but no one's there. Her husband nodded grimly. "Sometimes I catch a glimpse of someone watching us from the upstairs window. A man, gaunt and pale, just staring. It feels like he's waiting for something." The boy, curious and unaware of the weight of their words, played quietly nearby. My wife and I exchanged a glance. Their experience echoed ours in uncanny ways. The figures, the strange lights, the eerie feeling of being watched. Yet, when pressed, they laughed it off. "Maybe it's the house settling," the husband said, "or just the wind playing tricks." But we all knew better. As days turned into weeks, our bond grew stronger, but so did the tension. Each encounter brought new whispers of unexplained happenings, objects moving inexplicably, sudden drops in temperature, footsteps echoing in empty rooms. We found ourselves sharing stories not just out of friendship, but out of a desperate need for understanding. And with every shared story, the fear deepened. Could the spirits that haunted that old house still linger here? Were we all trapped in the shadow of something we couldn't see, but could feel? The nights grew heavier with unease. The family we had come to know seemed visibly worn down, their smiles more forced, their eyes shadowed with exhaustion. One evening, as we all gathered near the fire pit on the beach, the woman looked over at us, hesitating before speaking. "There's more," she said quietly. "Sometimes I hear a whisper close by, like someone standing just behind me, breathing softly." Her husband's jaw tightened. "And the man at the window, he's not just watching. Last week, I saw him step closer, almost like he wanted to reach in." My heart pounded. I looked at my wife, who nodded almost imperceptibly. The boy, oblivious, played with a small shell, unaware of the dark stories swirling around him. Days later, the family invited us over to their new home, the building that had replaced the old house. Walking inside, the air felt colder, heavier, as if the walls themselves carried memories we couldn't understand. As we sat in their living room, the woman shared what had happened recently. "Last night, I woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway," she said. "When I got up, I thought I saw a shadow move past the door. And then..." The boy started sleepwalking. Twice now, he's wandered onto the balcony, staring out into the dark, talking to someone I can't see. The husband added, "I've heard noises, faint knocks, whispers in a language I don't understand. And the other night, I caught sight of that man again, the deformed figure. He was just standing there, staring. A cold shiver ran down my spine. The pieces were falling into place. The strange light, the woman in white, the twisted man. All part of a lingering presence none of us could escape." That night, as we left their home, my wife and I shared a look heavy with understanding. We told them our story, the night we saw the woman and the man, the fear that chased us away. They listened, silent at first, then quietly admitted they had suspected something was wrong from the start, but felt powerless. After much thought and shared fear, they made a decision. They would leave. The next morning, the family packed their things. We helped, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. As they drove away, the house, the place that had held so many secrets and shadows, stood quiet behind them. Sometimes the past doesn't stay buried. Sometimes it reaches out, not with words, but with whispers, shadows, and cold touches. And sometimes the only choice is to leave and never look back.